Sup, all? It's Dogman. I just woke up a few hours ago, and I just wanted to recap the EMEA and North American Marvel Rivals Ignite preseason. What a fucking mouthful. There's a lot to talk about. I don't have a lot of notes, though, kind of just because this is more going to be like a ramble recap of the entire Ignite preseason, which was fucking awesome. I mean, sorry to cuss straight off the rip, but holy shit. I mean, dude, this was the most fun Ignite tournament, Marvel Rivals tournament that we've ever had. Like, it just was. I don't think there's any comparison, you know? Like, maybe we could talk about the first Ignite season where there was upsets with like Ego Death, and we could talk about like Self on Black Panther and stuff. That was a lot of fun back then. Also, Techie XD being around with Tap. That was a really fun Ignite stage as well. But this preseason just had so many fucking close games. The pros could never figure out the meta. The ban phase was confusing for a lot of these teams. Very hard to adjust to, and for a lot of these pros, I think I even had like Fate of Team Navi was talking. He was like, man, I kind of want just MRC bans because the global bans are way easier to like adapt to and adjust to, where, you know, you throw one thing out in terms of the ban phase, in terms of the protect, and you can ruin everything for a team in terms of their preparation and their planning. So this ban phase was really tough. Also, the meta was really tough to deal with, considering, you know, everything's good. Everything was fucking good right now. All of the strategists are good. On top of the fact that Daredevil was super strong, Elsa's really strong, Hulk had his moments. There was just a crazy amount of variety in the meta. Thing was played a lot too, sometimes fastball special with it, also to maybe like counter Wolverine players, but also then there was a counter swap on the other side that would happen against it. And then I don't know, man. There's so much to talk about. That was getting into the nitty gritty of it, and I was kind of rambling. But man, just the overall drama and the overall close matches that we had was unparalleled, unmatched. And yeah, there's a couple things you could say in terms of, you know, smoothing things over, I think, in terms of like getting the games going faster. But in terms of just sheer entertainment value for Marvel Rivals, this shit was fire, guys. It was genuinely so much fun. And we'll kind of dive into it a little bit because EMEA had its moments, NA had its moments as well. Obviously, in North America, Team Liquid Citadel won it all over Swamp Gaming in the grand finals in a 4-3 fashion. And then in EMEA, you had Na'Vi winning over Team Heretics, which was also a banger. And that was in 4-1 fashion. So both series were super fun. Both of the playoffs were also a lot of fun. And we'll kind of talk about both. So let's just talk about, well, I guess North America first. Like, realistically, we've already covered the meta. It was already insane, but it was kind of in North America mostly just Swamp and Citadel sitting at the top, and then it was kind of everybody beating each other outside of the two. Yeah, we won a map over Team Liquid Citadel in the lower bracket finals, which was crazy, dude. That one was actually insane, too, because we had Jitward on Spider-Man at points, and it was on, I think, Museum of Contemplation, the map they won, and he had 24 deaths in a win, which is, I've never seen that before. I watched, you could watch the Jitward POV, and you could play Benny Hill music on 2x speed, and it would just be cinema. Like, it was hilarious how often he was going in to just get a KO and die. And there is something, I think, to be said about that playstyle, where it's kind of the opposite of that sort of like Punisher, just heavy poke across the map style. And it's kind of like, go and get a kill and get traded, because there is something to be said. I think I had one of my friends tell me this while we were playing like HOTS. He's like, yeah, it's like there is value in if you're playing a useless character, and if you could take out a character on the opposite side of the map and trade your life 1-for-1 that's actually doing something, like a support, for example, then that's huge value, right? Like, even if you trade your life and if it's 1-for-1 and it's a huge risk, don't get me wrong, but if you can do it consistently, it's always worth it, because if you'll trade your life on a not as important character, it's kind of worth it, right? So they still lost in overall. The overarching sort of theme of the whole tournament was consistency was kind of the key, especially getting an upset on we talk about the Swamp Citadel matchup. Liquid Citadel, they were usually going to lose the comboing convergence maps, right? Against Swamp Gaming, that's what happened in the upper bracket finals. But what ended up happening is Liquid Citadel won on Aegis Path, and it was kind of over at that point because they were too dominant on domination. And we were going to end up with 3 domination no matter what with them winning Aegis Path. So we kind of just sadly for Swamp Gaming ended up on a map that wasn't going to benefit them due to the fact that, we ended up winning the last map 6, but then Liquid Citadel get to pick the map on the map resets, and we're going to go to domination because of it, and then Liquid Citadel win. So it all kind of came back down to that one Aegis map that Swamp Gaming lost, and Liquid Citadel kind of improved on. And it's tough because I think a lot of domination maps, you can't really teach that. You almost can't teach a team to get better at domination. You kind of can, but a lot of it does come down to kind of natural synergy and dive and mechanical skill and that sort of stuff. And I think the team cohesion and synergy on combo and convergence, I think that can be kind of worked on a little bit more and improved upon. Also, you can get snowballed and play heavily for time, which is what Liquid Citadel were very good at on their defensive sides. They just got really good at playing for time and just going to contest the cart and kind of ended up winning against Swamp Gaming in the Streets phase on Aegis, which kind of set that series snowballing. But it's more than just that for NA. The overarching tournament was just a ton of fun. Besides, we lost for MRC. Lunex looked really good. Just looking back at the matchups, if I just wanted to look back and see what the outstanding matchups to me were. First of all, we had the first quarterfinal matchup between Yowie Lost and Energy Shock, who Energy Shock went down 3-2, and then for Energy Shock, tough for them, dude. Went down to the lower bracket and then lost 3-2 to Sentinels as well, just in a really tough matchup, which was just a fucking brawl on back and forth, or for both sides, loving to play that low-key counter dive composition sort of style. Resulting in them going out of the tournament. That was crazy. Also with Lunex beating Space Station Gaming in the lower brackets was crazy. Lunex looked like they were improving every single series. It's just unfortunate that they had to play against Yowie Lost, which Yowie Lost just have the number of Lunex at all times. Sadly for Lunex, which had a great tournament. I think we're looking to be one of those consistent kind of up and coming teams that are going to have a bright future. And then for Sentinels to beat 100 Thieves 2 was a really exciting matchup. That was a ton of fun in that lower bracket quarterfinals. So I don't know, man. I know, and then we had Yowie Lost beating Sentinels later on too. It was just an exciting tournament, really, just across the board. And there's a lot, I think, to be said about each specific team. But I don't know. That would require. We'll probably go and do a full recap of every team in more advanced detail later on. But in the meantime, just overall thoughts from 100 Thieves, for example, I think that there's a lot to be, I imagine, talked about in their Vanguard line due to the fact that, I think Remix talked about it. It's just none of their Vanguards could really play Rogue just yet, just because that character in the Gambit comp was so strong. And then some of the best Rogue players like Vest, for example, just weren't even in the playoffs due to the fact that they got eliminated early due to the visa stuff, due to the fact they're on ping and stuff. But that was also a ton of fun. And then also for 100 Thieves, it's kind of unfortunate that they went out this early, considering a lot of people had them as a top rated team in before the group stages, and then just Swamp Gaming just freaking dominated throughout the whole tournament until the very end, which kind of to talk about that, I guess poor Swamp Gaming, man. Jesus, poor Swamp Gaming, dude. Feels bad because it's just when they were under Team Nemesis and stuff, they would always get to the very end, be very competitive. They would always have a very good tournament, and then you would just lose at the very end, man. It's brutal considering they just couldn't get it done. But it is still a preseason, and they definitely have time to look good in the next stage. I just feel for their players because it's damn, dude, they always come so close to being the best team in North America and just always falter in some fashion. And that's not talking about other tournaments that they have won, but just the big tournaments that have kind of mattered. I imagine they're going to get to that point at some kind of impasse in this game's future, but it's still unfortunate for them, and really big win for Team Liquid Citadel to kind of come back and get better on convoy convergence map types. But to kind of going back to specific teams, as well for like NRG, dude. Like NRG, I think had a phenomenal tournament. They were one of the better teams, I think, at playing Loki cloak comps in general, or just Loki and like across the board. A lot of the best teams, I think, got really good at the White Fox Luna compositions, alongside having the Invis. I think if they got that through, some of the best backlines were pretty important, I think, in this tournament. And yeah, they were good at like kind of those compositions. And for Team Sentinels, they couldn't figure it out with their backline too, with subbing in Kurova over Mir. That was always a little strange. And then, having Amazing on Daredevil and stuff, but never playing a ton of Wolverine. There wasn't really a lot of Wolverine teams in North America besides, Days on Swamp Gaming. And then even then the Wolverine comps could get countered in specific matchups. And then you had to be able to play a really strong Daredevil. And it wasn't enough to almost be like a serviceable Daredevil for Days sometimes. But, wow. I mean, just what a tournament across the board. To talk about Space Station Gaming, when they kind of looked good out of the group stages, just faltered, just fell off a cliff, sadly for them. Their team cohesion just couldn't figure it out. And, I think in terms of like the heroes played as well, like they just couldn't, again, be another team that played the rogue comps to a very high level. They forced Blur onto like a ton of different heroes that were not dive heroes and stuff. And it's like, it kind of comes down to, somewhat my thoughts on these controller players and stuff too, with like Necrise. Like I feel like it wasn't a very good controller meta too. Like you had to play Vanguard Deadpool, otherwise it was kind of a tough meta to play controller. Like sometimes you could play like the Hulk over in EMEA with like Enzo, but even then, what happens if they play like Wolverine comp and they just become a scratching post? It was just tough for a lot of these roller players. Like they could play Angela, but Angela was kind of only really looked good whenever we played like Ultron, Human Torch comps, I guess. Like that was kind of about it. Ultron, Human Torch, and then you could play Angela as well. Like that was kind of the only comp that it looked viable. And even then, it kind of was a little bit cheesy. It felt like at points. So tough tournament for them. I think they looked like they were improving. They're getting better. Nectar had a crazy showing throughout the whole tournament. I think Doomed was a solid flex player throughout. And the backline looked improved, I think, from previous iterations of, that these players have had, but still just unfortunate they dropped out that early. And, we can only talk about playoff teams though, so I'll kind of skip. Actually, no, we did talk about FlyQuest a little bit, but so I guess we can talk about TSM, but TSM as well going through their own turmoil. Tough meta for them as well, with two sort of more traditional hit scan type of players as well. And, to just didn't figure out their sort of dive and like the kind of playing around, Daredevil being so strong this patch. It was always going to be a really tough patch for them in general. And then for Team Nightmare as well, like I think they were kind of lost in terms of comps play. Like they could have been good, I think, in the playoffs actually. Like if Nightmare could have figured out the right heroes to play, like for example, like they played a ton of Emma Frost in those group stages, but Emma Frost, I think at the end of the day, just did not look very good unless we're playing like, just pure damage, trying to break through group walls and like triple defenses on like convoy maps. Just felt like Emma Frost fell off a cliff and they played way too much of it. So I don't know, like that kind of comes down to not understanding the meta early on enough, and really not a lot of teams understanding the meta. I mean, 100 Thieves were still playing Emma Frost late into the tournament, which is just crazy considering how, honestly bad the character looked at points. So tough tournament, I think, for, Nightmare, for example. And then for Swamp Gaming, just to talk about them for a little bit, I think just a great showing across the board. Days, I think, had a standout tournament on Wolverine. Just looked crazy. Mello looked cracked on Elsa. I've seen a lot of debates as well, like who was the best Elsa player this tournament. It could have been Energy. A lot of people say Energy, but there was so many good Elsa players. Like I don't think there was like a bad Elsa player. It seems like a character that, was kind of somewhat even across the board for everybody. Like I don't even... Like there was maybe a couple bad Elsas, but realistically, I don't think the difference between the best Elsa and like the second best Elsa was that far apart. And it kind of came down to like, did they have bad ults in that specific round or whatever? Like there was a lot of really strong Elsa play throughout the tournament, and it kind of came down to like a lot of the flex DPS players. I feel like playing that Psylocke, playing that Star-Lord, playing that Wolverine. I think that it came down to those players not overextending, playing in the ults. Came down to Phoenix play, it was kind of more focused on those guys for me, at least. Like, of course, you're like the Elsa players were going to stand out. Of course, that's what the hero does. But outside of that, what can we do on the flex DPS? Terra and EMEA looked really good as well on the Wolverine. Like, can we play the DD to a very high level? Can we play the Wolverine to a high level? Can we play at points Bucky for energy as well? I think there was a lot to be said about the flex DPS sort of players instead of these hit scan guys. And also same thing into the flex tank role, kind of, or I guess a lot of people would say the main tank role, like the Hulk players I think were a big deal. The Venom, a lot of these guys as well. And I think that, Swamp Gaming for Kraz and them and for Spark Chief too, like a lot of people were kind of saying Kraz and Scatter were playing better than Spark Chief and them. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think Spark had a really good tournament. I think obviously they wouldn't win if he didn't play well. So, and there were points as well. Like I think where Kraz on the Hulk and stuff just didn't look that good because they had to keep playing this combination of the Hulk alongside the Wolverine because they were so good at it. But then it got figured out by Citadel, and I think it's on it's a huge shout out to I think Citadel and what they did with Spark Chief to kind of enable the team and just kind of play for your own life. But like obviously, Paulie gets a lot of the love and a lot of the show. Due to the fact that his Captain America on that last map, dude, holy shit, that was insane. Like that comes down to like target focus, honestly, out of Swamp Gaming a little bit, like less so than Paulie being a cracked god, but also like what were we doing target focus wise? Like I think in that last fight on was it Cradle? I think it was right for Krakoa, like. Paulie was like jumping around, and then I think I saw Swamp Gaming like Daze on the other side of the map. It was Crash trying to like hard carry the team on group, but just not in sync with Daze. And Paulie was just jumping around the map, not dying. Like that was hype as shit. And I was like, holy crap, can we not kill Paulie? What the fuck? I was like, at that moment, I'm like, give Paulie his own skin in the game, dude. Like Spark Chief was a really good player, but like obviously we have to shout out Paulie and just how much stall he did at the very end. And, like, I think that's more of a mistake on Swamp Gaming side to not target focus, but still, dude, like, that was a crazy ending for Paulie, and he deserves a shout. And, like I said, sorry about, like, rambling a little bit this video, but this is going to be a bit more of a, like, I didn't take many notes. Like, I just kind of wanted to talk about it more, so maybe we'll get a more refined sort of take. This is, like, kind of more first reactions of the tournament, because it was just a lot of fun towards the very end. And obviously, another side, yeah, we lost as well, had a crazy tournament. Like, I think for that team to get top 3, like, I just need an org to pick these guys up at this rate. It's the same thing for Lunex and even Cafe Rose. Like, I think all these squads deserve to get fully picked up. Like, I understand you want to pick up best in slot heroes, but, like, it's actually like kind of a smart idea to not overthink it and just like straight up pick an entire roster up, because yeah, we lost half a very fundamentally strange team, and Zatex had a crazy tournament. Like he was cracked as shit as well, but I just love the sort of unique style of this team. Like we put Mask onto White Fox at points, and we put him back over to the Thor at moments. Cart Lover looked crazy on the Hulk. Just a super fun team. Kendrick as well had one of the best White Foxes in the whole tournament. Xantho was like the most aggressive invis that we've seen too. Just a really fun team. And then kind of the same thing for Lunex. Regis had a cracked out Elsa throughout the whole tournament as well. Same thing with, I think Tico showing that flexibility has been clean. I think if he was popping off on the Doctor Strange, it was exciting as well. And, I think Tone showed a ton of really strong rogue gameplay too. Like it was a crazy tournament out of them. And then I think, their backline, obviously Logan's still one of the best Lokis in the game as well, was phenomenal. And then to talk about Cafe Rose, to pick up 2 sub players to kind of come in and obviously not qualify for the playoffs, but obviously had to replace 2 young players, in Sticky and in Tree, and then to come in with Zanji and Pro Builder and to fill and just able to put up a good show against Group A, which was a really tough group. Was great, and huge shout out to them and their backline too for playing a strong tournament. Everybody to kind of adapt that early. Kind of a lot of rambling there, obviously, but it was just a great tournament, a lot of fun, and in North America was just exciting, and just as exciting North America was, EMEA kind of the same thing. And I think I don't have as much to say about specific like teams out of the playoffs so far, like about Alter, Crownfall, and those and Peps and those guys too, but. I think that this was a great showing from basically every team in EU. Like EU to me, and call me out if I'm wrong, just felt like 1 through 6 in EU even just were all close, man. Like it was just everybody put up a good fight. top 1 through 6, like any given day, honestly. Like, I feel like VP could have had a run. Obviously, Na'Vi did, but Shikigami looked crazy as well. Like, Shiki looked like a crazy good team at points, and they played some weird stuff. Like, we talked about the Torch Angelus shit. Like, that was sick. And then, a lot of teams, I think, struggle playing the Gambit comps and setting up dives and having to go for a set for anti-nades. Like, Team Heretics, I think there was something to be said about having a hard time running these Gambit comps, and it's not due to having necessarily a bad Gambit player, but it's like not fundamentally understanding how to play the comps and stuff, going for these anti-setups and stuff. Was always difficult, having to play so many different styles and comps, and then freaking Tanuki falling off the map versus Shikigami in a win 2 times was just hilarious. It's just actual cinema. He got that. I've never seen a player get so screwed out of multiple KOs. I think he got like the Torch off the map, but then the Torch's hitbox got a little bugged out to the rock or whatever. But I thought you could off map Torch maybe on Wolverine, but I guess not, because we somehow didn't fall off the map on the defensive side versus Shikigami. I don't know, dude. This was a crazy tournament overall across the board. Na'Vi looked great. You had Terra popping off on the Wolverine as well, and then you were able to play slow and have Trust Me, and Rajaro specifically looked crazy on the cap too. Kind of was just overall a fun tournament. Just really fun tournament across the board. There's something to say as well said about Fire Strays having a solid tournament, solid showing as well. Obviously, I don't think I have as much to say about EMEA, but when I did watch their matches in the playoffs, it was just a ridiculous showing out of every squad. And I really don't know who's better between EMEA and North America. Like, I kind of want to lean EMEA across the board, due to the fact that they've shown up in the previous lands both times, grand finals, mid-season. They've been a fucking force to be reckoned with, and I think the EMEA teams are just really good across the I keep saying that, across the board. I just woke up, so I'm a little bit slow. I just think that they're really good, mechanically speaking. I've been a big fan of Naga. I don't think he's getting enough love, and the same thing with Jerky. Like, there's something to be said about these flex sort of roles sometimes that have to, sort of off angle and just play for their own life while also still doing something and not overextending. Because, for example, even with just Psylocke, the old Psylocke gameplay would just be, okay, flank, go for dive setups, maybe get a one-shot combo. But now it's uptime, and now it's just trying to play on your life, playing the cloak ult or whatever. And there's so much variation. I think the difficulty about Marvel Rivals is that this game is just has so much diversity in terms of how many playstyles you have to play against different compositions and different styles. And it's very hard to, for example, just stat follow, because the stats almost don't matter unless you're against specific matchups and you're keeping track of those specific matchups to compare them to each other, because there's so many different styles and gameplays that can kind of happen. And the flexibility has to just be unmatched, not only being good at heroes, but also being good in specific styles and matchups. So, oh man, my camera froze. God damn it, dude. Why did my camera freeze at this moment? I guess I gotta have to add. This is a sign to end the video, dude. Ignore my freaking frozen camera. I don't know how long ago it froze. I wasn't. And everything. I just broke glass. This is ruined. You don't understand what happened. Oh no. Oh no. This is just the most cursed video of all time. Please, nobody watch this. Oh shit. I had a glass bottle right next to my desk, and my camera just fell on it and shattered it everywhere. This is genuinely crazy. This has never happened before. What a shit show. Not a Minecraft stream, by the way. I don't know why the fuck I have that up. Okay, I gotta go, I guess, if everything just broke. Bye? Holy shit. The playoffs were sick. I'll make an actual video soon, guys. Okay, this was just me rambling. All right? Bye.